We finally have some Pistons draft news from a reliable source. Sam Vecenie dropped his latest mock draft, and he's got the Pistons taking Bennett Sturridge to 21. But what's more interesting is what he wrote about the pick. He said these two positions I hear most regarding the Pistons are lead guards who can shoot and create offense, or wings and forwards who can shoot. I've heard a lot about Sturridge and Christian Anderson as potential fits next to Cade Cunningham as offensive creators who can fire from distance, and then players like Cenac Jr. or Cameron Carr. So those are two different types of players, two different directions the Pistons could go, but we've got real names now attached to both. Today we're going to break down Cam Carr, Cenac Jr., and Christian Anderson through a Pistons lens. Who actually fits the Pistons at 21? But we're going to start with Cameron Carr. He's probably the player the Pistons fans are most familiar with, at least in this draft cycle. He's a 6'5" wing, has a 7'2" wingspan. Sophomore out of Baylor, he transferred from Tennessee and he immediately became the best player in Waco this past year, averaging 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, leading Baylor in scoring and minutes played. And to me, his efficiency is what stands out. He shot 49% from the field, 37% from 3, 80% from the line. He had a very good true shooting percentage, and his shot chart tells you exactly the kind of player he is. He shot 155 attempts at the rim at 70%. That's his bread and butter, and he gets there constantly. His three-point volume is real too. He shot 77 out of 206, so that's 37% from 3. And he didn't really take a lot of mid-range shots, so he has a very polished shot diet. I would like to see him maybe be able to get to the mid-range more as he develops into a 3-level scorer. But as of now, I mean, he attacks the rim with persistence and with vertical explosion that is not really seen by many draft prospects today. I mean, outside of those top 4 guys. He dunked the ball 44 times this year and blocked 40 shots in just 28 games. He plays above the rim on both ends in ways that just don't match his measurements. For the Pistons, he checks the box of the scorer and, you know, an option on the wing that can shoot and attack the rim. So that's pretty great for drafting at 21. I think that he could play off Cade pretty well in our starting lineup. One of the questions about him is his frame. I think he's only 190 pounds, some narrow shoulders, so he can definitely get out physical by some wings in the NBA level. And I also think his defense might be a bit overrated. I'm not sure that he's as good of a defender as some people like to believe and like to talk about him as. I think he's got the tools to become a great defender, but I'm not sure that the IQ is 100% been there. But I'd be excited to see him kind of get to a situation like the Pistons where the defensive structure is very well in place and he's going to have to just buy into the role. He's going to be an explosive player in his first year on the offensive end, and he probably is going to have the tools to create turnovers, transition plays, stuff like that. Cenac Jr. from Houston is a very puzzling prospect, okay? So we'll start with the combine measurements because this is where it begins. He's 6'10" and a quarter barefoot, 7'5" wingspan. He has a 9-foot standing reach. Standing vertical is 33 inches, which is 95th percentile amongst centers. Max vertical of 37 inches and 92nd percentile. His lane agility is 99th percentile. Shuttle time 93rd percentile. Basically, he's a top 99.5% of center from a pure athleticism standpoint. So at this point, he's a great size experiment. Not sure about the level of player he is today. On the court, he averaged 9.5 points and 8 rebounds in under 25 minutes across 37 games. He led Houston in rebounding this year, first freshman to do that there since 2011. And for the Pistons, he's supposed to be a stretch big, I think. That's kind of the idea with him, is that he's the crazy athlete, and there might be signs that he can shoot. He's a great rebounder. He protects the rim with his length and his mobility. And the pitch is that he can space the floor in ways that a lot of guys his size and with his athleticism cannot. The shot chart is pretty interesting. He attempted 93s this year. He made 33% of those. He also took 90 long mid-ranges, and he made 37% of those. So that's not the shot diet I'm necessarily interested in seeing, but it's a good sign at least that he can shoot it moderately okay at multiple levels. And then he did shoot 76% at the rim, but only on 72 attempts. And that's a pretty low amount for a college center, a low amount for a guy with his athleticism, you know, as far as rim attempts come. The other concerns are real. His true shooting percentage was only 54.6%, and he only shot 62% from the free throw line. So that's a pretty big concern to me on a guy that if we're taking him, we're banking on him being able to shoot as well as use his athleticism, because he's not necessarily translating that at the rim at this stage of his career. Also, he was in foul trouble all throughout the season, constantly sitting in big moments of games. He doesn't create his own shot. Pretty much everything on his offensive production is just play dependent. So he's not a play creator, not a shot creator, but he is at least effective play finisher. And you look at the tools here with this guy, you're betting on his ceiling. You're betting on the combine numbers being a big thing, the shooting development, that he can clean up the fouls on defense and that he becomes stronger. The range of outcomes for him is pretty massive. I think he's one of the most interesting first-round picks. Not sure he's the one I want the Pistons to take, but it's worth noting that Sam says at least he's one of the guys that the Pistons have their eye on. Now let's talk about Christian Anderson. The Texas Tech sophomore averaged 18.5 points a game last year with 7.4 assists, 3 rebounds, 1.5 steals. He led the Big 12 and finished 5th nationally in assists. He set a Texas Tech single-season assist record with 244. He made 41% of his threes on 259 attempts, which is the second most in program history. He was an All-American, a Big 12 first team. At 6'2" and 175 pounds, that is going to be the big concern for him. I mean, he's clearly a great shooter. He had 259 three-point attempts, 42% of his threes, but he only got to the rim 78 times and made 49 of those on the season. For a guard that's playing 34 games, averaging 38 minutes a game, it's just not enough. He doesn't beat his guys consistently off the dribble enough. He doesn't get to the line enough. I think he can create, creative finishes when he gets to the rim. He shoots it effectively at the rim. He just doesn't get there often, and you want to see him get there more for a small guard. I listened to Bryce Simon, or Motor City Hoops, you may know him as, who covers the Pistons pretty specifically. He talked about how Christian Anderson has excellent shooting with great assist to turnover numbers. Bryce thought that he creates more than his raw assists show, and he's really good at using eye manipulation to move defenders before making plays. He's patient in pick and roll. He doesn't go too early, and if he adds some size and strength, Bryce thinks that he can hold up defensively. He also noted that his off-ball screen navigation is a real skill. So he's not skilled on defense and that he doesn't, have the right ideas in mind. Just sometimes he's a little bit too small. So the actual pick at 21 was Bennett Sturts. And if you want to know what I think about Sturts, check out my last video. But between these 3 players, who would I prefer to go with? If I'm looking for floor, looking just for some shot making, someone that can attack the rim, I'm going Cam Carr. I think he's clearly the most NBA ready between these 3 players. Even though I have some concerns about him being a team defender, I think he at least has the tools where he can play a little bit each night and impact the game pretty well. Cenac Jr., I'll be honest, I don't really want to go for the high upside swing right now. I think he's too raw of a player, and I'm not sure he's good at the things that people think that he might be good at one day. So I'm not going with him. But so to me, it's between Carr and then Christian Anderson, because I think if you trust the shooting and the playmaking IQ enough, I think Anderson can slide right into the Pistons and make an impact. I just don't know how he quite fits off the bench in the first year, and if we can really use him and Danishenko together. So, the Pistons have one of the most interesting picks at first round in 21. Let me know what you think we should do at 21. Until next time, thank you for watching Second Effort.